session at the end of the second banner, though. Because, drumroll, banner 3. What they did to this banner is blows my mind. Just blows my mind. Last night, we got access to the MVP newsletter that said, here are the headliners for each of the banners. You can speculate on what's on the rest of them, but we know the headliners now. And because this banner was affected by the Ultros vote, because Lightning's OSB is now on the Ultros banner, that means it was taken off this banner that it was originally on the Japanese one. And they took Bart's off the Japanese Ultros and added it to this one. I'm not a real big fan of Bart's OSB, so I'm like, I don't care. Either Bart's or Lightning OSBs weren't spectacular to me either way. And then they took off Renoa's OSB, because that was on Japan, and added Gilgamesh instead. Bart's actually has use. Gilgamesh's OSB is really just bad. It's probably the worst OSB in the game. So we had access to these, and I'm like, they better stack this banner with the worst BSBs in the event. I will be so unhappy if they put good BSBs with this, because I don't want to pull these OSBs. And then they reveal what's on the rest of the banner. Much to our surprise, they added the Sid Reigns BSB to the banner, to the festival. Okay. So we have the best Mage Burst Soul Break in the game on the banner. And they kept Refia and Realm on the banner, if that wasn't enough already. These 3 relics are... Here, I have this open in another tab, and I'll show you in a second. We have Reigns, Golbez, Refia, and Realm. Skyfire X on Reddit and the KBP chat that I frequent. A lot of his assessments on relics align with mine. I have very few disagreements, and he made a tier list for BSBs, and it's very useful, and I suggest that everyone take a look at it from time to time. Don't use it to make decisions for you, but use it to inform yourself. Like, why does this person think that these are good? And he made a tier listing, and we have something called the personal tier. This is the tier that he made that really just transcends everything else in the game. And we have Onion Knights. We already know why this is so good. Thank you, TRM, for linking it for me. We already know why Onion Knights is so good. It's because it's ultra versatility. Onion Knight can do anything, and his Burst Soul Break allows you to do anything. And remember what I said earlier on the first banner about concentrating our resources? The less people that we have to use to get and bring them to the highest level, the better. So sometimes we want to make physical teams, sometimes we want to make magical teams. Onion Knight fits onto both of those teams, and he does it to an exceptionally high level. And that's why that this is so good. It is a great burst. Yeah, basically Omega tier, but he named his top tier Omega tier, so he did cause a little confusion there. So we got a great burst on one of the best characters in the game due to his personal versatility. And then there's Sid Reigns. So we have at the tip top, and I agree with this, I believe Sid Reigns is hands down the best mage burst in the game, and possibly the best damaging burst in the game. It's disgusting. It's filthy. It's gross. The buffing potential that it provides your party is awesome, and the fact that its first command gives you instacast capability. So by chaining it, you do 2 things. You exceed the damage potential of just about everything else in the game, and you generate soul break gauge faster than other people are able to. So it increases your ability to recast and keep the buff active. And Then we consider that Sid Reigns, and we talked about this before on the second banner because of Quistis, Sid Reigns has access to support 4. So you can wrath with him. You throw all this shit in a pot, stir it up, and boom, out comes just a filthy, disgusting burst that does dark and holy damage on all of its portions. It may not do non-elemental, which is kind of depressing for like stuff like Nemesis, who have Omni Resist, but dark and holy are two of the most common weaknesses. And when one is weak, you're generally assured that the other will not be. So having those two as your elements is another good thing. Hugh Hefner puts it very well in four words. One-man wrecking crew. You can design parties around him. He's that good. So that's on this banner. Moving down, we have his highest tier of bursts. And what do we see right away on this tier of bursts? We see Realms Healer Burst. One of the best healer bursts in the game. In my opinion, the best healer burst in the game. I believe Y'shtola is better overall because Y'shtola is a better character, but as far as bursts are concerned, I believe Realms is the best, which makes that awesome. That's an awesome addition, and wow, we couldn't ask for much more to pair with Sid Reigns. Those two alone being on a banner is just disgusting. And oh yeah, by the way, Rephia's is also on here because Rephia's burst, in addition to being a plus fire damage bracer for a fire damage burst, even in Japan today, is the third ranked physical burst as far as damage potential is concerned. Only matched by two headliner characters in Cloud's, or at the first position, Squall's BSB2, which is just absolutely disgusting. And Cloud's BSB2, which is exceptionally good. And I believe both of those should be on here. Oh yeah, we got Clown Squall. They were right above it. I just completely missed them. So this is one of the highest damaging physical bursts in the entire game. So, and I don't want to. I want to hammer home the point that you shouldn't use tier lists to make your decisions for you, but I agree with these assessments. These belong in the highest tier of burst soul breaks available, and this banner has 3 of them. And the other burst, this is one of those 4 burst banners, is Golbez's burst. And I know there's a lot of people in my chat that can personally attest to how really cool and awesome Golbez's burst is. Not only is it a cool burst, but it is a rod that gives plus dark damage. That's really cool. And then you have oh god, it's a very complicated burst. But what it means for Golbez is it turns him into the tank. He is the mage tank. It is the absolute best at what it does. And it is very important. What it does is very important. Because now this is a little off. It's a little different from what this says. Sentinel is different because I believe Drawfire and Sentinel stack. This gives Sentinel, not for Drawfire and Magic Lure, but single target dark non-elemental damage. Okay, whatever. Self magic 30%. We want a buff like this on something that doesn't give us End Dark. So that's great. And then we move to the commands. It's one of those summoning ones because Golbez can get summoning 4 if you unlock it. On the first cast, it gives him Stone Skin, which is the 30% max HP bubble that Y'shtola gives. Which normally on a mage would be but this is Golbez, and he's a tank, and he has a ton of HP. At level 99 in the full dive, I think he has like 7.5 to 8,000 health. Yeah, that's quite a bit. I would rate this higher than what's his nuts? Than Skyfire put it. So this makes my assessment of the banner even better than his. Second cast, if you need AoE dark or AoE damage, he can do this, and it does a whole bunch of damage. The second casts always do just like Hope's BSB2 and Yuna's BSB2, to make up for the fact that you're alternating, because I don't know if there's anyone here that doesn't know how summon bursts work, but what happens is this command 1 gives you summon mode. And when you have summon mode, it changes the capability of the burst commands. So if you have summon mode, that's the SM, then it will do this. So in order to chain do AoE with them, you would cast this, then cast this, and then it gets rid of the summon mode. It's a charge that it expends. So you do this, then you do this, then you do this, then you do this. But normally what you're going to be doing, because of what Golbez's burst focuses on, is it's a tank burst. You get Sentinel. You draw physical and magical attacks to you. So what you would do is give yourself summon mode and then use the second command, which does 4 times single target dark magic, which does a 20% of the damage dealt drain if summon mode active, and it does not use the summon mode charge. So you can use this and then keep on draining to heal yourself up every single turn. There is nothing else in the game that does this. Everything else is limited to at most 2 attacks. And because it is a percent of damage drain, that means anything else is... most is 1 attack. If you look at a Seifer's, for instance. His second command drains 1 single target dark damage for 20% of damage dealt, so it can only heal him 2,000 damage a turn if you cap it. Golbez's has a maximum damage or drain potential of 8,000 damage a turn. You're probably not going to hit that unless you're using Sid Reigns, of course, to pump Golbez's magic up. But it still hits so hard and has such a high damage potential that you're going to be healing Golbez incredible amounts every turn. For a tank mage that can wear heavy armor and sit in the back row, and like Kathy has said, no other burst can do something as good as this can do, as well as this can do. And it is a fully capable dark damage rod. So I think if I pulled all the bursts off this banner, I would probably augment this rod and then use it on Sid Reigns or Golbez, instead of augmenting the dark damage glove that Reigns gets. Reigns and Golbez mix very well together. Yes, Kathy is perfect. And as we spoke about on other banners, you love to see focusing of resources like that, like getting Sephiroth OSB and his N Dark SSB on the same banner. You love to see stuff that you want to get together. And Reigns BSB, Golbez BSB both work together extremely well. Realms BSB works with anything because it's just that good. Remember we talked about, oh man, this Edge Super Soul Break and its ability to give Last Stand would be really nice for Nemesis, but damn, do I have to use Edge. Realm doesn't have that problem. She gets Last Stand. She gets a Cura Medica, which is fine. And the Holy Damage, which is... You're probably losing a Curaga Medica in exchange for Holy Damage. You don't really care. We're not looking at this. We're looking at Medica, Last Stand, and then 0 cast time Curaja for her command. When I see Medica and Last Stand, I think they're not going to give us anything special for the burst commands. Oh, but they did. 0 cast time Curaja is probably the best version of a Curaja command at this point in time. Except for Sarah's, which is, I believe, 0 cast time and major regen. So we have an awesome opener, and we have as good a commands as you can ask for at this point in the game. Sarah's is the only one that's super exceptional. So this goes with everything. And then we have one of the highest physical damage bursts in the game. They don't... it doesn't go with those, but you're not going to get Refi's Racer and be like, oh, man, That's bad. No, you just got one of the linchpins of your physical team now. So going back to how I started with this banner, we saw this and I was like, oh man, banner 3, come on. Banner 3 just became the best banner in the festival for me because it, like we saw in banner 2, it has 4 burst soul breaks, and all 4 bursts, 3 especially. It's crazy that Golbez's is the worst burst. That's crazy. That's out of control. All 4 bursts lived up to what we look for, and that's awesome. So now we kind of get to the flip side of the second banner. You know how we found that all 4 super soul breaks were good consolation prizes? Well, now we're going to go and we're going to see if these 4 super soul breaks are going to drag down the rest of this banner because everything else is so good. We have Sabin's super soul break to leave it off. Sabin is a bad character. He only has access to combat and monk. A lot of monks have other capabilities that make them good. Either their burst commands are awesome and they have great equipment potential like Brephia, or they're a monk that have capabilities like Zell, who has both a great burst and good abilities, because Zell can dive to Celerity 5. But Sabin stinks. However, Sabin's armlet as a super soul break is one of the best in the game. Medica 40% max HP is something that scales very well because it's scaling based. It will always be 40% max HP, and as our HP goes up, it is more effective. So that's good. We need more to make it great. Party Asuna, very rare. This is something that it's crazy that Ishtola's like old soul break is still useful on her, because it has the ability to party Asuna, and that can be awesome in certain situations. So this is great. Right now we have a monk. So what we do if we had the super soul break in Sabin, is we'd be forced to hone some monk abilities for him, which isn't bad because we have better ones now. Fires Within is an excellent monk ability, and he can also life siphon this out, which is also really good. And defense 100% to add on to that. That's really good. This is a really good super soul break. Crappy character, but he is a good enough character that he can make use of it. Fires Within, life siphon. That's all he needs. This guy will win Sid missions for you. And really, can you ask for much more from a super soul break? This is a great consolation prize. Next, we have Knowles. This is what I like to consider the stick in the eye of the people that pulled on the Final Fantasy 13-2 banner. Defense 100% does stack with both Protecka and Wall. So yes. People that pulled on the Final Fantasy 13-2 banner, playing the Sid Reigns lottery, a lot of them ended up with this Super Soul Break, and I feel sorry for them, because its presence here is people that didn't get it come and see this festival and they say, all right, yay, I got another chance at it. But they already probably have Knowles and be like, oh, man, that's a dupe that I don't want. Because I completely understand. It's really not good. You don't mind the damage potential of 0 cast time and 6 single target, and it gives him self-instant cast too, so you could carry full charge on him, life siphon and full charge. So what you do, you life siphon this out, and then you full charge. He has a lot of damage potential, but getting dupes of it does you no good at all. So it's in Final Fantasy 13, you're already pulling on this banner for something to turn your party into something awesome. It's just not. I don't know. There's nothing cool about this. And it's depressing. So this is clearly not as good as Sabin's. Next, there it is. It showed up. We got Sheepsong. So while Sheepsong was taken off of Ultros banner, and I was sad about that at the time, it was added to this banner, and now I'm happy. This would be, if I pull for it and get it, this would be my first Mage Heiska with Faithka. So this would be a great addition to my Mage team until I get Mogs. So this is an A-team potential target. A-team potential. For limited time, maybe for more time, because you want stuff that stacks. And as we get more dual magic things, so Magic Mind with Mogs, for instance, this would stack with that. Or this stacks with Onion Knight, because Onion Knight is attack magic. This is 18 potential out of the lower end of the banner. So, good. Also, Fire Damage Whip. It's a whip, so it loses a lot of its ability there, but it's still fire damage, and Krill is one of the better mages in the game because of her summoning potential. Hold on, I saw my name mentioned, so I'm going to answer a question for a second. I got into an argument a month or so ago back about saying Noel's Super Soul Break was better than his Burst Soul Break, full breakdown with breakdown abilities. I mean, they fulfill different roles. Noel's Super Soul Break is pure damage, while his Burst Soul Break gives you a lot of utility potential in a Sid mission scenario. I would personally consider, in a vacuum, and personally, I think in a vacuum his Burst Soul Break is better, but I would personally prefer his Super, because I have somehow, some way, because of my weird pulling habits, I have a developed Saz, so I don't mind using Saz as my support, because what Noel's Burst Soul Break allows you to do is use Noel as your support, because he provides the full break status with breakdown commands. But I like using Saz on my team because I have some great soul breaks for him. So I would prefer to have Noel's Super Soul Break instead. I agree with Jimbo. Neither are good. Let's not split hairs. Neither are desirable. But one is better than the other for different people. Oh yeah, I mean, if Sass's Burst is being brought into the equation, then yeah, it would be better than all of it. Because Sass's Burst is actually is 18 potential. And not only are Noel's Burst Soul Breaks pretty bad, but Noel as a character is also pretty bad. Okay. And moving on, we have Sirius Laguna. This is a great Sid mission weapon. Having a native Busca is great for Sid missions. It's not, because Final Fantasy VII or Final Fantasy VIII is so heavily mage focused, it's not that great as a Sid mission thing. Because, I mean, you may have Renoa, Edea, Fusion, and Quistis all developed and ready to go. Because Laguna's weapons are all named after stars, and Sirius is just a name for a star. So this is probably in the Noel Super Soul Break tier. So we have one really, really great Super Soul Break, one that is just above average consolation prize, and two that we don't generally want. We don't want these. I have 2 Laguna guns. I have 2 Siriuses already. I am going to, because I will be pulling on this banner, you've heard me talk it up. I can't talk it up a banner this much and not pull on it. If my Ultros banner and my Burst Soul Break banner don't change things, which they probably won't, I will be pulling on this banner. I am going to end up with a shiny Sirius soon. It will be 8 stars, and probably more. If I get more, the Rosetta Stones, I'm fully ready and willing to accept the fact that that's going to be a reality. Okay, so that's the end of